in general loves the American people. It's not what you hear on the news. It's not what you hear on CNN or main media that we hear here in the news. The Palestinian people and the Arab people have a major disagreement with the U.S. foreign policy, and that's all. They have nothing to do with the American public. They have nothing. I mean, like we did everything possible on September 11 as a Palestinian people to stand up with America, because what happened is really a big crime. But guess what? Today is what, the 16th? The 15th. Tomorrow is the 16th and the 17th. I don't know how many of you heard that. They will not even tell you, even on the news. The Palestinians will be mourning tomorrow and after tomorrow because thousands of Palestinians got killed on the hand of the butcher Sharon in 1982 in Sabra and Shatila in Lebanon. No one will tell you that. No news will tell you that. They will hide all this on you. We want you to celebrate your life, and we want everyone to celebrate freedom, because each human being deserves the freedom. And it's not up to no one to say, yes, you can have your self-determination, or no, you cannot have your self-determination. I will say the current Israeli government continue, very basically continue to prove that they are unable and unwilling to make peace with the Palestinians. Because every day, we see them doing something. We see them confiscating lands. We are seeing them building more and more illegal settlements. And if they are truly wants to make peace with the Palestinians, they have and they should stop all these illegal activities long time ago. When we signed Oslo, they should have stopped everything. And that's something that again, that everybody has to keep in mind. I think the reason why the U.S. and Israel are opposing to the Palestinian bid will be very simple. It's not really because they are afraid of Palestine or Palestinian, because now they have a country. Well, guess what? Well, even if we have a country, we're not going to create any kind of threats, and they know that. The opposition by the United States and by Israel will be very simple. We have reasons. We look at and we see and we can read politics. The opposition is very simple. Guess what? What the United States have been doing for 20 years and trying to solve that outside the United Nations and outside the everything. For what? Because they know that every single United Nations resolution and Security Council resolution condemn what Israel did. They know that every resolution is stand with the oppressed, the Palestinian people, and against the oppressor and the aggressor, which is the state of Israel. And to save Israel, they want to take everything outside the United Nations. That's the main reason why the United States don't want to do it, don't want to support the United Nations bid. Because if they do, that means everybody has to go with what the United Nations is saying and is talking and is telling everybody to do according to United Nations and Security Council resolution. And guess what? We don't like that in the United States. We want to protect Israel. That's one thing. And the second main reason for the United States objection is because they will lose their, what I call, prestige leadership in any future negotiation, because everything will go back after that to United Nations. Because now we are dealing country in front of a country, and it's not the way it is right now. So regardless what they say, why they are talking about, no, they have to go back to negotiation. We tried the negotiation table for 20 years. It failed, and we're not willing to go back. Unless we have great substance, unless we have the international community guarantee on that, no way we'll go back to that. And that's what the Palestinian people and the Palestinian leadership right now stand. And that's a very important thing to keep in mind. A question that I have been listening from the media, does that mean that Palestinians are planning to declare their statehood? The answer is no. Well, not. We did. In November of 1988. We declared the Palestinian statehood in 1988, November 15 of 1988. What we are doing right now is not declaring a statehood. We did, as I said, in 88. We are going to United Nations for a full recognition of the state of Palestine as a member nation. That's exactly what we are doing. I have been, again, very busy with the media. In the past couple, especially outside media, I have been getting phone calls from newspapers in Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, all over for about our plans here in the United States and what we are doing. But I will guarantee you that we are encouraging every organization, every group, just to go outside and do something. And if you do something next Friday, and if you don't mind, and you would like to be very nice to me, if you can take a couple pictures and send them my way, I will guarantee that those pictures will go there, and they will be in our newsletters, the PLO newsletter, and so on. They will be there. I will guarantee that. As I said again, I mean, the work is tremendous. We know that. We are ready to take that tremendous job, and we're hoping and asking God that by next week, things will start. And I will tell you, and I want to be honest with you, when people ask me, is that means on the 23rd, we're going to celebrate, we're going to have we're going to have, a recognition. I tell people the 23rd is the start of the recognition. So it's not necessarily it has to happen that day. It might happen 2 days later, it might happen 2 months later, but that's the start. So our job will not end Friday. But I will tell you, as I'm leading demonstrations in New York in front of the United Nations next week, I will be thinking of Iowa City. And I will definitely love to hear from you. And if you are ready to do anything and you need any kind of help, please communicate with me, and I will do that. A couple things I would like to say. I left my business cards there on the tables. If you need to communicate with me, please. You have my email, my website, our website, and all that. And I don't know if I can do that or not, but I would like to maybe share, if it's possible. What I would like to do is I will put our website as an organization here. It's www.ampal.net. You can get some of my visits with Palestinian officials and PLO officials and government officials. You can read about stories about all these meetings, WAFA reports on my visits, other visits. So you get all this. This is one of my meetings at State Department, Palestinian State Department, or Foreign Ministry, as a matter of fact, the correct term. When we started to communicate about this is again the State Department, I keep saying State Department, the Foreign Ministry. So more and more and more news that you can read about my trip and what I did there. And also you can read a lot about the issue as it stands right now. So as I said, feel free to get the business card. And if you have any question for me, please do call me and or email me. Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you to our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time when we will go around and collect some cards. The first one, why is it necessary for Hamas to recognize Israel when the Native Americans are not required to recognize the U.S.? Anyone take a shot at that? John?
Well, I will try. You know, everybody knows about me. I mean, when you talk to them, I mean, they know that, you know, since I became very active in the political life, I always stood with the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. I always took their line. They didn't stand for any other, again, organizations. I think for right now, I will say that we should talk about the unity of the Palestinian people rather than talking about Hamas or Fatah or any other Palestinian groups. So I really believe that Palestinians has to be and stand up as one individual, fight for their rights, and as I said again, and that is a right that we will not negotiate anymore. And hopefully, you know, that will be the case. Hopefully on Friday, the celebrations will be in Ramallah and in Gaza also at the same time, because this is something that is going to be an excellent move for all Palestinians, regardless of their political affiliation.
Okay. Next question to Dr. Dabeet. Can you address the financial consequence of going to the UN?
Well, my understanding that the United States will stop paying us the pennies that they are paying us right now. So hopefully the rest of the world will cover that, and we will not really suffer. Let me just explain something. You know, one time, you know, based on my field, you know, I'm a statistician and economist at the same time. So, you know, I deal with numbers all the time. And when I start looking into the amount of money that we give the state of Israel and dividing that by the population of Israel, I find out that each Israeli gets around $10,000. Each Israeli. Now, when I took the amount of money that they are giving Palestinians and divide that by the Palestinians, also, it came to really what I would call pennies. It's not really pennies, but what I call pennies. So hopefully, you know, we will find other sources. You know, Palestinian people struggles all their life. They have self-determination. They love to live, let's put it this way. And I don't think if United States decided to cut their financial assistance to Palestinians, I don't think we will die. Believe me, whatever I have, I will give to my neighbor, and whatever my neighbor have, will give to our other neighbor. And that's how we work as Palestinians.
Start a big sale.
That could be a good idea.
Okay, next question. It's well known that some Palestinians are Christian. It is not well known that some Palestinians are Christian. Historical Palestine is home now to Jews, Muslims, and Christians. As Americans, we understand how different faiths can live together. To any panelist, what is your vision for how the people of Palestine can live together, people of Palestine of different faiths?
Well, follow your faith teachings. That's one of the reasons I mentioned certain verses, both from the Quran and the Bible. It has nothing to do with religion. The conflict in the Holy Lands had nothing to do with religion. It's all about political and land, you know, well, land stealing, if you like, sorry to say. It has nothing to do with religion. So if we're saying about how in the Holy Land the three religions communicate with each other, or the three people, they did. They lived side by side for thousands of years, and they can continue to do so once the voices for peace and justice become louder than the rest of the voices.
I think talking about Christians and Muslims and divisions between them is really, I think, a divisive method that perhaps the opponents of recognition really resort to. I think the Palestinians, both Christian and Muslims, have lived together for thousands of years, for hundreds of years together, and they've been able to survive, prosper, intermarry, and succeed. True, there is a minority of the people there, but it's just a reflection of the demographics of the area. I mean, there are more Christians in the U.S. than there are Jews. Well, I mean, whose fault is that? Nobody intended for it to be so, but this is a reflection of the demographics. That's the way it is in Palestine. It is not intentional. They've been able to succeed and prosper just like they have in Lebanon, where they have 18 denominations. And I think it is sometimes an issue that is raised in an attempt to create turmoil and to create prejudice and discrimination amongst these groups. But I think there is really not a religious issue.
I have a couple of questions concerning how UN recognition would affect the question of Palestine's actual borders. How would these borders be recognized? Would they include the Israeli colonies? Would the recognition imply anything about the right of refugees to be repatriated to Palestine?
Well, actually, it's a very good question. Well, I'll go back to 1967 and the UN resolution about borders. It's supposed to be the borders of Palestine is pre-67 war. Of course, Israel is not going to be agreeing to this, just tough business. But that's exactly what the United Nations had, saying that anything that was won after the war has to go back to the original borders.
I think this is a tough issue, and I think in 2000 the Arab League did offer Israel full recognition by all the Arab countries in exchange for 1967 borders, which they have turned down. I think the United Nations mediator did suggest that the city of Jerusalem should be given a special status so that it would be equally accessible to all three religions, and that was turned down by the Israelis, and they wanted full control of the holy sites. I think you've got to start from somewhere, and there can be potentially a land swap as long as the parties are in agreement. But you've got to stand from a premise, and the premise, in my opinion, perhaps is best. 1967 borders would be the most acceptable now. I mean, granted that we may have to give up the borders that were suggested in Resolution 181, but at least the 1967 would be a starting point.
And you know, to add to that, our bid to the United Nations mainly is mentioning that very clear. It's pre-1967 border, and including Jerusalem, East Jerusalem as its capital. I mean, and that's exactly what we are looking for. You know, one thing I noticed throughout all these years, that even from Oslo all the way till now, that every Israeli government since Oslo till now decided really to invest more in occupation and in more illegal settlement and in more confiscating lands and in more making Palestinian lives more miserable than peace. And supposedly we went to Oslo, and I was one of the people who spent really good time in Washington, D.C. from 1990 till 1993, while the two parties are working on Oslo. And I was for Oslo till 1996, and I'm proud to say that from 1996 till now, I decided to stand against Oslo, because I started to see again that all Israeli governments, or what they are doing mainly, is standing more for occupation, for injustice, and investing in that against, you know, the Palestinian rights of self-determination and becoming a free nation and govern themselves and so on. So I said, yeah, I think it is, you know, it's a point to start with, and that's very important, yeah.
I see that there have been protests in the West Bank against the Palestinian Authority, in Gaza against Hamas, in Israel against the Israeli government, all along the lines of the rebellion in Egypt and other Mideastern countries. Can you talk about how these protests may affect the chances for Palestinian independence or affect the bid for UN membership?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but say if one takes the Egyptian model, if you like, if there is such thing, I think it's very important for the Palestinian to have a unity government. You know, both sides, both Hamas and the PLO, must come together and be one united front. Because after all, one of the things that predetermines or encourages actually that bid for statehood is having one unity government that can negotiate and get into agreements with other states. And I'm afraid the way it is currently being in place, Gaza under Hamas, West Bank under Mr. Abbas, and the Palestinian Authority, gives an excuse, if you like, to those who are against statehood to say, wait a minute, who are we going to talk with? Who are we negotiating with? So I think it's important to have that unity, and I'm not so sure. Actually, that was a question to Mr. Dabeet. Where are we there?
Well, it's okay. I think one thing that we have to remember that Palestinians are practicing their democracy. It's okay. If somebody decided to demonstrate against me, it's fine. Let them do that. I mean, we do it here in the United States. Why it has to be different if it's done, let's say, in Palestine? That's one thing. I mean, I think everybody has the right to demonstrate either for or against. The majority of people, and as I said again, I came from Palestine, I spent two months there and just came back 3 weeks ago. The majority of Palestinians are behind President Abbas right now when it comes to the United Nations bid. Every single Palestinian faction, their leaders are stating that very clear, that they are behind President Abbas now in going to United Nations to ask for the UN bid. So I don't see a problem if you see Palestinians demonstrating. I mean, that's their right. It's democracy here, and they can do that. As far as the majority are going for this option now, as I said, we are not. Our rights are not going to be negotiated anymore, and that's going to be really a simple statement for us as Palestinians. I know that Palestinians, and I talk to them every day, and including to my family, as a matter of fact. My families, everybody is like preparing all those big Palestinian flags and start to installing them on their cars and so on, because everybody going to go into the streets. I mean, celebrating. Again, the bid, the UN bid to the Palestinian bid to United Nations, and I think if somebody decided to be against that, I think it's fine. It's fine because I mean, that's what a democracy means.
How much division among Palestinians in the U.S. is there over this issue? I hear comments opposing statehood in favor of one state from Palestinians.
I think it's really very interesting that we can sit here in the U.S. Many of us are Palestinians and Palestinian background. We're very comfortable in our homes and in our jobs, and we're trying to render opinions on what's happening in Palestine and what's happening to Palestinians living in refugee camps. I don't think there is any single refugee who's living in a refugee camp in Lebanon, Syria, or Jordan who would like to continue to live as a refugee supported by the United Nations. None of them want to continue to exist in that fashion. I mean, they've been living there since 1948, supported by the United Nations. None of them want to continue to do that. If they have the option to go to a homeland, all of them would jump to it, regardless of who they are, what their religion is, or what their political leniency is. I mean, I think it is ridiculous, and I think we can poll the people in the U.S., but it really doesn't matter. What matters are the people who are living there and living the life in squalor and poverty. It is the people in Egypt that really brought the change in their government. It wasn't the U.S., it wasn't the United Nations, it was the people who protested and brought the Mubarak's government down. It is the same people who did that in Tunisia, and they will successfully do that hopefully in Syria. So I think we can sit here and discuss this, and I think that's great. But I think we have to look at it from the perspective of the people who really count, and those are the ones in refugee camps.
Right, and I'm going to have to add something from the Egyptian front. The public, the Egyptians in the streets and everywhere else are not leaving the Palestinian issue untouched. The status